Well, we're going to start off with yes, the bill passed. Yes, it barely passed by the skin of its teeth. I've tried to be very honest with everybody that this bill or something like it was going to pass. There was no way they were going to shut down everything. What I want to talk about first before we open it up for questions and comments and hellos and everything else as I load up the chat, what I really would like to talk about with you guys today is it does seem that everything is not what it seems. It turns out that Donald Trump isn't the only taco. I know it stands for Trump always chickens out, but it could stand for Rocco. Republicans always chicken out because there is a bit of a chicken movement happening right now within the Republican Party. And by the way, a whole bunch of you came flooding in right away. That's great. Thank you very much. Apparently, giving you some advance notice helps. Oh, I see hellos. Hello. We're going to do hellos in just a minute. I got to talk to you about what we're here to talk about real quickly, and then we will jump on into hellos, greetings, questions, and everything else that could be on your mind. First of all, there was this nifty little article on Politico over the holiday weekend that kind of, to me, buried the lead. It was titled The Next Mega Bill Congress Needs to Worry About. And it was about everything else that's coming up and how Congress is going to have to do it all over again because they basically screwed everything up, put the tax cuts first, and now they have a big deficit problem that's going to trigger a bunch of bad stuff if they don't fix it. But that's not what I wanted to bring to your attention. Oh, this is where it gets good. Here, for instance, it turns out these Republicans had something going on that they didn't tell us at the time. They voted for the Medicaid cuts, but apparently they got a backroom deal where they're going to get to come back and revisit them this fall. Let's read from the Politico article for a second. I'll tell you what's going on. Josh Hawley said, who ultimately voted for the sweeping policy package, pledged to ensure that the cuts to state taxes that fund Medicaid, which, by the way, is the mechanism they're using to cut Medicaid, they're shifting the burden to states and then cutting off the state's ability to tax healthcare providers for the Medicaid fund to cover people in the program. That's the scam. That's how they get so many people off. But Josh Hawley pledged to ensure that the cuts to state taxes that fund Medicaid would never take effect. Now, we go down a little bit more. 16 House moderates similarly urged Speaker Mike Johnson in a letter in June to revert the Senate's language. They all ended up voting for the bill, but at least some were thinking there's an opportunity to revisit the deep cuts in the future. Representative Dan Newhouse said of Washington, any changes in the provider tax don't go into effect till 28, so there's time. Okay, what this means between the lines? When we paired this with Mike Johnson saying on Fox News Sunday yesterday that he plans on doing 2 more reconciliation bills, one in the fall and one in the spring, which, he could barely get one passed. Good luck getting 3. What this means is these Republicans are going to try to undo these Medicaid cuts before they ever take effect. They're going to try to go back in and pretend like this never happened. And what we're going to see is they're going to pass a giant tax cut without actually paying for it, all the while hoping that that first vote that they took will make their voters happy and make them think that they cut Medicaid and paid for it. But they may really not do that. Now, my point to you, good people, is that this thing is far from over. It is very, very far from over. 2 more reconciliation bills, 2 more chances, one in October, I believe, and one in January, from what Johnson was saying, to get these cuts killed before they ever take effect. So, I noticed, I could see it, people were feeling bummed after the House passed this bill. And a lot of people turned off and tuned out and shut out. Okay, yeah, I get it. It was 4th of July weekend too, so, why not go and do something else and not even think about this monstrosity. But it turns out that they're hoping you go away. Republicans are hoping you go away. They're hoping that you don't show up at town halls. They're hoping that you don't protest. They're hoping that you don't keep calling and sending letters and demanding that they get rid of these cuts. They backloaded the cuts. Up here we go. ICE funding. We have a question about ICE funding for police. It's not going to be a police state. Okay, so just everybody needs to chill out on that. Okay, ICE has actually still does have limitations on what they can do. ICE cannot be a police state. I think the other shoe to drop, because I'll skip ahead and do this right now, because Macon Tracks asked, what about ICE funding a police state? It's not going to be a police state, and I think we got some of the other shoe today because the Trump administration, the Department of Justice has announced that they will go after naturalized citizens now. They're going to start deporting legal immigrants. And they can't even handle deporting the illegal immigrants. Stop editorializing, Jerry Wentz. He said, when will ICE get the money? I have no freaking idea when ICE is getting the money because the appropriations process takes time. It's not like they just write a check for $50 billion to ICE. Okay, and this money comes this money comes in pieces and it's earmarked. So they're not just going to use the money for whatever they want. Okay, this money is clearly listed. Part of it goes to border wall. I'll look up the whole numbers. You guys want to do the ICE thing? Sometime we'll talk about that. Part of it is border wall. They want to hire 10,000 ICE agents, which projections are they'll take years to hire 10,000 ICE agents. It'll take years to hire that many people. And they want to build detention centers. Now, it takes about a year to build a detention center. So they're not funding immigration courts. They're not speeding up the process of deportation. They're simply going to try to, and this is really stupid. They're going to simply try to hire more ICE agents, build more detention centers, build a wall, and then ship everybody out. Yeah, there's some steps missing there. And I'm not talking about steps as in like what would be legal, what would be just, what would be right. The steps that are missing are literal steps required to effectively deport this many people. For instance, how are they going to transport all these people? There's not enough planes and aircraft to deport 20 million people or whatever. Okay? No idea. That's not in the bill. No clue. How are they gonna round up all these people? Where are they gonna put them? They're already over capacity. They don't have any more room. What are they gonna do? So look, even at the best projections at this funding level, they're not getting 20 million people out of the country. Okay, number one. Number two, every single court challenge that it looks like the Trump administration is ignoring, okay, is actually slowing the process down. Every court case slows this down more. And when this slows down more, they get further behind. Trump and Stephen Miller want 3,000 people deported a day. They're not getting anything close to that. They're barely getting 1,000 deportations a day. Yeah, the problem is they can't you those private prisons have to be contracted. Oh, Jerry Weinstein, and this is a good one. Um, we don't know how much of that $50 billion is going into the pockets of Trump cronies. How much of this is just a graft scam? Yeah, 45 billion that's 45 billion of the total for over 10 years is going to transportation. That's not 45 billion this year. Los Gatos in Madrid. So, they're not just forking over $45 billion right away for transportation. That's the problem. Like, there's just logistical problems that they have never, ever solved. And I agree, Jerry Weinstein, or Weinstein, if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, I'm sorry. Uh, 200,000 people is 200,000 too many. Yeah. Well, you know, I you're giving Jerry's saying yes, but you're failing to acknowledge the imagination of sociopath like Stephen Miller. Even $1 billion is frightening. Don't be frightened. Number one, they want you to be afraid. Don't be afraid. Please don't, because they are so okay. Never underestimate their incompetence. Number one, and number two, Stephen Miller isn't going to dictate the whole bureaucratic nightmare that this deportation scheme is. Okay. I what we're not getting that people really need to see, and they really need to see it. This thing is far from running smoothly. It's a disaster. Okay. It's a disaster for the people. ICE is desperate just to meet the immigration quota, so they're not just grabbing immigrants everywhere. Um, well, yeah, Jerry's like he's in New York City. Uh, I'm seeing what is happening. We have a co-opted mayor here. New York City is a very, very important and distinct case because of Eric Adams. Eric Adams is allowing local law enforcement or insisting local law enforcement and facilities participate with ICE in the immigration raids. So the problem is this is what Trump wanted to do nationwide. If Trump would have been doing that nationwide, the havoc that is being wreaked in New York City would be being wreaked across the country, if that's a good word. Um, so that's a very good point, Jerry. I will say that's a very good point. What's happening in New York City, but what's happening in New York City, I would say, is not reflective of what's happening in the country because there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Uh, so we have a lot of stuff happening in the comments section already. I'm telling you guys, keep fighting on the Medicaid cuts. By the way, I would expect that a lot of the stuff, if ICE does try to streamline the process, I would expect that's where a lot of the stuff like the courts come in. And remember, every case, every decision against them is a delay. And what is in your favor right now? Time. Time is in your favor. Remember, Trump is term limited, and I know I'm just opening myself up to somebody saying that, he's not going to leave. He's going to leave. He's going to die or leave one way or another. Um, time. I know Democrats aren't used to this, but if they need to all be Mitch McConnells and drag everything out. Okay, I'm going to get up to something here. I got something interesting here in the chat. This comes from Kathleen. A controversial measure to postpone the November election to 2026 in order to move the city to even year elections. She's already signed the legislation into law. The mayor has. The mayor doesn't have the vote on the city commission, nor is he required to sign commission legislation, which is automatically effective in 2 days. Okay. And this is from the Miami Herald. Okay. So, Miami Herald, the mayor has been quietly lobbying behind the scenes in favor of the legislation which was sponsored. Yeah, this is like some of the stuff that happens. This is literally the kind of stuff that Republicans do, especially in Florida. Florida Republicans are a special level of corruption. They're moving it to the midterm because they think that by going in the midterm, they'll have a better chance because of the environment that exists right now. Anybody running a local election or even a special election in 2025, it's a Republican, it's probably going to either face the challenge of their life or be wiped out. We've seen it in almost every special election so far this year. That's a preservation move. They're thinking 2026 will be better for them next year. I think it could actually be worse. I think that any Republican would probably be better off running this year before the impact of the legislation is known. Harriet, why are the citizens of Miami not in the streets demonstrating about this? It's not that big of a deal. Honestly, it seems like a big deal, but it's a preservation effort. It's corrupt. It's horrible. Um, By the way, Jerry, they're not dissing Mamdani, the Democrats. Jerry says the Democratic powers will be want to keep backing Adams, this Mamdani. They do not want to back Adams. I'm sure there are some Democrats in the state. If you're talking about Democrats specifically in the state of New York, what you're seeing with some of the Democrats in the state of New York is absolutely disgusting. Um, they're afraid. They don't back Adams. They don't want Adams, and they're not really dissing Mamdani. They're just not endorsing him. Hakeem Jeffries has a meeting set up with Mamdani. That's a big deal. He should be giving his endorsement. There's no reason not to. The primary's done. Uh, you know, I think Jeffries will get in the line. I think it's just one of those deals where they're all, and this is the dumbest thing. This is such a dumb thing. Mainstream Democratic elites are terrified of being labeled socialist. Why? Because Republicans say socialism is a bad idea. They use it as an attack. If Democrats have an attack, when Democrats have an attack on Republicans, a word they use, what do Republicans do? They don't go, "Oh my gosh, I have to run away from that term." They attack the attack. And Democrats are not attacking the attack. Look, Republicans are going to try to use the New York City Democratic mayoral candidate. They're going to try to nationalize the election around socialism because that's what parties do when they have nothing they can run on. They would rather this election be about socialism than about throwing 17 million people off Medicaid. So that's what's coming. Okay. Don't be surprised. Don't be like, oh, why are they doing this? It won't work. It These kind of things rarely work. But they're going to try it because what's their other option? Because the economy, if you believe the economists, is going to be in not so great shape by next November. Probably a lot sooner, but next November. So we have Republicans can run on. Oh, we screwed over tens of millions of people to give tax cuts for the rich because they can't undo that branding. That branding is done. They could go back tomorrow and take out the Medicaid cuts. They voted to throw 17 million people off their health care and millions more off of their food assistance. That's not going away. There's no takebacks. There's no, oh, I didn't mean to do that. So, that's not going to happen. Okay, let's take a little breather for a sec. Let's say some hellos to our good friends here. Um, okay. Teresa and Pam have joined. Oh, there's Detroit Voter. Glad to be here. Detroit Voter, we're glad to have you here. Todd Golden. Hello, Todd. Hey, Jerry. We'll say hello now this time. We jumped into everything. Uh, Pamela Kiss. They're afraid of the word Muslim. Yes, they are. Margot McClellan and Page. Hello, Margot McClellan and Page. It's great to see you. I'm so glad so many people are talking here. Is 300 plus typical for one of your Zooms? Yeah, this is a little earlier in the day. I found that when we do them later, we kind of get up around, 600 or more. We're very happy to have everybody here. I hope people keep coming in. We just join the conversation because we like to talk. There's been a lot about what's going on with ICE. Oh, Pamela had. Uh, Pamela Kiss has something really interesting we probably need to mention here. I'm sure you guys have seen it in the chat, but I'm trying to scroll back up through for what I missed when we were talking. Uh, Pamela Kiss, I'm on a Medicare savings program with Medicaid. Yesterday, MDHHS, which is the administrator for Medicare, I believe, sent me a text to reapply. On Sunday, I had to sign the Medicaid could take my home for the sign that Medicaid could take my home for reimbursement yesterday. In 2027, the big ugly bill kicks the Medicaid savings program. By the way, I pay for my Medicaid. See, that's something a lot of people don't understand. There's a group of people out there that pay for their Medicaid. And as I wrote in one of my stories over the weekend, 92% of the people who Republicans claim shouldn't be on Medicaid because they're able-bodied. They work. They already work. I mean, so what who are they really coming after here? Who are they really coming after if they already if they and they know that 56% of the program is children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. The other 44%, 92% of those 44% already work. So that means there is a tiny percentage of people that are getting Medicaid right now who are able bodied and not working. Okay. And most of those people are likely new mothers, people with small children, people who are maybe caregiving. It is awful what this bill does because it is preying on the myth of the undeserving poor. Because you'll notice, and I'm going to get off on a tangent here. Republicans love to couch all this in terms of able-bodied people. Well, they say if you are able-bodied, you should not be on Medicaid. Well, who gets to decide who is able-bodied in this scenario? The Republicans. The Republicans will decide if you are able-bodied or not. For people with what they're really trying to do is they're trying to cut down Medicaid to just cover people with physical disabilities. That's it. And if you slice that down, that small group of people with physical disabilities on Medicaid, then you just kind of get rid of everybody else, or a lot of them, or as many as you can. But there are people like Pamela who are paying for their Medicaid and they're paying for their Medicare or their Medicare savings program. They're already paying into the system. And this is just fundamentally the most backward thing. Oh, yeah. Oh, Pamela says she works on disability in a program to get secondary Medicaid. Yeah, that's actually really common because of the changes that Joe Biden made, especially the Medicaid, making it easier to work and keep benefits or get benefits or get coverage. Because you know what? I'm going to guess Pamela, if she works on disability, Pamela probably couldn't get private insurance. And I'm just making a generalization. We'll just say Pamela's tens of millions of people. You can use anyone's name. They can't get private coverage. And it's because it would be cost prohibitive and way too expensive. So Medicaid is a lifeline. Yeah. Jerry Weinstein says able-bodied has been weaponized during the discussion of big and ugly, and he is right. It's now a way to and it's a really nefarious way to divide the disabled community because there's always been sort of this strata of disability within the disabled community, and Republicans are exploiting that. And they're saying if you are able-bodied, you're not really disabled, so you don't deserve health care. Um, that's a really dangerous generalization. That's a really, really, really dangerous generalization because every person's different. And I am not saying that, the program has expanded because basically Democrats have been trying to use Medicaid expansion as part of the pathway of Obamacare to get more coverage to get us closer to a national or universal coverage level. Because let's be honest, single payer, the best way to get a sort of single payer government run system would be to increase eligibility for Medicare and Medicaid. Trying to impose a different system over top the private employment system would be a nightmare. Yeah, Jerry says we are all worthy of healthcare access, and he's right. He's right. We all are worthy. And what they're doing is cruel, inhumane, barbaric, and they don't seem to realize that the country's changed in the last 20 years. Healthcare is no longer viewed as an entitlement, it's a right. So this is now that's why you're seeing these Republicans trying to cut these backroom deals to make the Medicaid cuts disappear. Because, of course, if they got rid of the Medicaid cuts, then the Republicans who did that would promptly go out and say to all their voters, we did not cut Medicaid. We got those horrible Medicaid cuts reversed, even though they initially voted for the Medicaid cuts, and they're the reason why the cuts exist in the first place. Oh, man. Yeah, Alan Minthorn says Maine went after FWA and able bodies for 8 years under Paula Page. Oh my God, that's a horrible name. I'm so sorry you had to live under that regime. Spent $15 million to collect less than $900,000 from abusers. Yes, that's the other problem. The people that they claim are abusing the system don't have, in most cases or all cases, don't have any money. Okay. So how when you target them, when you target the people who have nothing, when you take what's left away from people who are already struggling, I cannot think of anything more barbaric and un-American that can be done. So, and I'm somebody who has lived in poverty. I've used these programs. It's I speak from experience. This isn't an academic exercise for me. This is real life. I mean, it is hard. It's stunning that there are people out there trying to feed a family of 3 on $134 of food stamps, or I'm sorry, SNAP assistance. Showing my age there. SNAP assistance. Um, I don't mean to demean anyone. Yeah, Lillian's right. Lily's right. Lillian says being poor is hard work, and it is work. It's every day fighting for survival. It's every day trying to keep your head above water. It's every day just waiting for that next thing you can't afford to arrive in the mailbox or in your email, if you have email, or the next illness or the next heating bill to come due in the winter or electricity bill in the summer, which, by the way, one of the things this horrible bill has done, and Trump has already done, is they've gutted LIHEAP assistance, which is energy assistance in the winter, and there is a companion LIHEAP program in the summer for air conditioning and cooling assistance. And believe me, right now the real feel is 103 in southwestern Pennsylvania. Uh, I am a diabetic. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm an insulin dependent diabetic. I cannot go without air conditioning, or really bad things happen. And I can't imagine what some of these people are struggling with. I can't imagine. So to think about that, and to not even imagine how many people are going to be impacted when healthcare premiums as of January skyrocket for private insurance. Well, remember, the CFPB was saved, Jerry. That's one of the things that did happen. Ari said ending the CFPB is also a tax on the poor middle class. The CFPB was saved, but it's being administered so poorly that it's not doing its job anymore. Um, let's do some quick hellos while we gather ourselves for moving to our next topic. Harriet Kemick, you were here before. Hello, Harriet. Nice to see you again. Eddie Burns is here. Hello, Eddie Burns. Nice to see you. We've already agreed a Detroit voter, a real peach of a person and a top-notch organizer. Um, if you have a Detroit voter in your community, you're very lucky. Lori Giwardo, oh, sorry, Jay Giwardo. Oh, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. As always, for new people, if I get it something wrong, please tell me how to pronounce your name in the comments. I will correct it. Oh, Martin has joined. Joan is here. Oh, we like Martin and Joan. Hello, Martin and Joan. Nice to see you. It's great to have you here. Okay. Stephen. Stephen is here. Hello, Sonny. Hello, Martha. Hello, Jennifer Stoll. Uh, Joanne Stoddard is here. And I'm going to do Joyatai Ray Chadhari. Chadhari? Oh, gosh. I'm so sorry if I got that wrong. Uh, Alan Minthorn, who posted some great comments about Maine in the chat, is here. Hi, Alan. Tracy Giddings, Jim Schletter, Schlueter. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. Hello, Jim. I apologize in advance. Ellen Sue Stern and Jamie Buckner are here. Hello. Arlene Facillo. Oh, I hope I got that right. Hello. I'm really happy. Barbara Fullerton is here. Bubba Jones, I hope you put this on tape so that I can share it again. Bubba, this is going to be published to the daily. Speaking of which, guys, if you're not subscribed, if you want to check out both of our publications, Sarah Jones is the person in charge of the daily. I'm putting the link to her publication. She has a fantastic story about the initiative between of Democrats, Republicans, Independents to fight and save fight for rights and preserve democracy. Boy, that was a mouthful. Here, I will put first of all the link to the daily, so y'all can go over and check it out if you'd like. And I am on the daily as well. You can find me there helping out and doing odds and ends. And yes, I did have a typo in a story, Sarah's story, and had to send it in the title, which to tell people, no matter how long they've been doing this, including me, to be more thorough. Uh, really embarrassing. And I apologized. And when I resent the newsletter, I apologize in public again today. Uh, that's frustrating. Okay, let's go to Sarah's story. And we're going to post Sarah's story in the comments as well. I want you guys to check all this out. This is a free one from yesterday from her. She's got a couple more up here, including her radio appearance she did this morning. We're going to post this thing right now. Please check this out in case you haven't yet. You really should, because it's a good burst of hope and it shows what people are doing in the private sector. I'll post the link right there. Here we go. Okay. And Steve Holden have joined. Connie P and DJ are here. Oh, we have a I just saw it. A Battle Creek, Michigan. We have a Battle Creek, Michigan voter and a Detroit voter. We keep this going. Jerry. Jerry has a great question here. Jerry asks, could we do a poll and ask how many people are active locally, community board, PTA, volunteer? If you guys want to answer in the comments there, we could easily do that. Let me see. I'm not sure how to put a poll in the chat. I have several things to learn here yet, but once I figure that out, I could definitely add a poll. Harriet says she's sorry she has to go. Harriet, it's been great having you here. It's been great having you participate. Thank you. This is one of the things about maybe doing these in the afternoon like this. I'm not sure if people can really fit in and be here. Maybe we'll do them a little later. Maybe we'll do them a little earlier. We'll figure it out. I kind of need to know what works best for you guys as well, because there's different people coming and going at all times. Alan, Surratt, and Nobek have joined. Oh, Jerry says he's on his local board in Manhattan. He's a meaningful check against Eric Adams and a partner to local and state government. Yes, local government is essential, folks. Let's just put that out there right now. Local government, if you could get involved locally, and you don't have to run for office or something, just be involved. You can have a big impact. So there's going to be something going down with these Medicaid cuts, is what I'm telling you. There's actually going to be something going down with this whole big, beautiful bill. And what the aftermath and what Republicans are trying to wrangle out of, so to speak, wiggle out of, is they want to keep the tax cuts and minimize the stuff that people don't like. What they don't understand is people really don't like those tax cuts for the rich. So it's not really there's no way out. And Democrats, one of the things Democrats have done well, they've done well defining this legislation, branding this legislation. They're starting to run ads today in vulnerable House districts And I want to talk about this because some people always want Democrats to run something in every district. And while I believe there should be a candidate in every House district in the country, all 435 for both parties, I believe voters should have a choice. In any place where voters don't have a choice, that's a problem. And that's not democracy. When you have an election with just one person on the ballot, that how is that democratic? Sure, you get to vote. You get to vote for that one man or woman over there. You don't like that one man or woman, I guess you don't vote. So I do believe Democrats should have candidates in every race. That's true. But I also know that the point of elections and political parties is winning. So you don't want to, let's say, spend $10 million or $2 million in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district in North Georgia because a Democrat's probably not going to win there no matter what. Doesn't mean Democrats shouldn't compete. Doesn't mean the local Democratic Party shouldn't build there. But in those dark red districts, before you can win a House seat, you got to build a Democratic organization. You got to get as much grassroots activity as you can. You got to build it from the bottom up. You just can't swoop in and say, "Oh, we're running Democrats everywhere, and we're going to waste zillions of dollars." Oh, this is Jerry has a good question. Um, So, Jerry's question is, do you think that the net of a Musk Cuban Yang party would help them to hurt? Oh, it helps Democrats, Jerry. It helps Democrats immensely because Republicans and conservative media made a giant mistake when they elevated Elon Musk for a year or two. They really, really, really screwed up because now the voters that Musk appeals to are those young men who voted for Trump because of Musk in 24. Musk has basically burned his bridges with Democrats. So anything associated with Elon Musk and independents is going to cater to a very small group of Republicans. But that small group of Republicans is enough to split the Republican Party and put Democrats in the driver's seat in a three-headed race. How do you keep the Musk antipathy alive? Jerry asked. Why, you let Elon Musk be Elon Musk. Musk does a very good job of that all on his own. As far as the big beautiful bill and time release landmines to blow back on Democrats, Alan Minthorn commented. After the midterms, similar but on steroids compared to 45's legislative bombs to blame Biden. The funny thing is that this stuff's supposed to trigger after the 28 election. That's the funny thing, Alan. But this is going to be a big issue if they don't fix this before in the 2020 election. Who's going to get stuck with carrying that around their necks? Who was the tie-breaking vote in the Senate? JD Vance. This was basically a giant middle finger to JD Vance. Good luck running on this. I am being conspiracy minded to suggest they'll bring back debtor prisons. Yeah, they won't bring back debtor prisons because these are people that are only concerned about money, Jerry. Jerry asked about debtor prisons. Um, so the one problem with debtor prisons is you can't collect the money. I could see them basically getting really aggressive and taking things away from people and basically driving somebody into some unfathomable level of poverty. But debtor prisons have been historically shown not to be the best way to go after people for money. Yeah, there's money to be made for prisoners, but that money doesn't go to the people that are owed. That money goes to private prison corporations, right? Jerry asked. It's not like the private prison company is going to pay the debt for the debtor, then keep him in prison. So that you're missing a whole oligarchic component there that I think is we can't overlook that well. GWB, maybe they could have run ads against the bill before it passed. Not really. I mean, look how this vote turned out. Ads weren't going to GWB asked if they could run ads before the bill. No one was going to be influenced by ads. They did run ads. I mean, they've been targeting vulnerable House Republicans in swing districts for about 2.5 months on this thing. And all the town halls they held in vulnerable districts before they vote, Republican districts, and potential Senate races. They've been all over the country on this for months. Um, so, you know, the problem is they just weren't going to move anybody. And the ads in the town hall, as you can see, there were some great town halls in red districts, were swing districts as well. They didn't move these incumbent Republicans because these Republicans are more afraid of Trump than they are of their own voters, and that's the problem. Um, what if all the harvester Bubba Jones asked, "What if all the harvesters and people who put food on our table strike?" Well, our harvesters and people who put food on our table are already having trouble because Trump's deported most of the workforce. So I think if they're going to strike, that's going to be what'll do it. Um, you know, and Jerry gives the observation that my sense is that Trump regrets keeping TikTok alive. Yeah, my sense on that, Jerry, is that Trump doesn't know how to get out of what he started. He's trapped, and that's why he's just going to do his. Remember his healthcare plan that was coming in 2 weeks? Mm, almost 10 years ago. Yeah. I'm afraid that there's going to be a extension on the TikTok ban every cycle, every 3 months or whatever they extend it for each time. And Trump is going to tell us in 2 weeks he's going to let us know who the buyer is. There is no buyer. Um, that's the reality. So you guys are really awesome. I'm so happy. We're almost at our normal kind of later in the day level for participation. And that's really super because we're coming off a holiday weekend and we don't really have, let's face it, we don't have a lot of breaking news going on except for the horrible flood in Texas. And, I will say whether or not this flood was caused by Trump's cuts to the National Weather Service, this is the kind of thing that the country has spent decades building a weather alert system to prevent. When you attack that weather alert system, or in the Republicans in Kern County, Texas, I guess, didn't decided not to approve a county alert system for flooding. When you don't keep up your systems or you weaken them, really dangerous life and death things can happen. So always, always, always remember that the things that I think a lot of Americans have taken for granted, programs, basic weather models that predict hurricanes and floods and tornadoes and things that kill people, they're all been weakened. Air safety. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel real comfortable about the idea of hopping on an airplane any time soon. Not that I flew that much, but when I'm not sure about that's such a great idea right now, but a lot of people have to do it every day for work. Uh, okay, yeah, this is Pamela. I'll tell you what. Just dealing with the bureaucracy since Trump came into office. Pamela posted something in the comments that I think we need to talk about just for a second. That Medicaid sent her a text saying that she's getting a letter in the mail. But they can't tell her on the website. They already decided my application in less than 24 hours. It says I have no application. Stay tuned. I applied 18 hours ago. Pamela, and I've been dealing a little bit with the Trump nightmare of a bureaucracy that they've created by hauling everything out. Don't don't take any of this as gospel. In fact, I would, if you If you don't hear anything back, in fact, even tomorrow, I mean, and it's really hard to get a human being on the phone right now, that you need to keep following up and make sure your application was received and is in their system, because they very well, it may have vanished in the ether and nobody has even forwarded along. That's the situation with our hollowed out federal government right now. Okay. Marsha Grace said, um, oh, nah, this is more. I just read that they curdled my blood. The Trump regime has gotten rid of all the oversight for elections by firing the heads of the departments that oversee all questions and situations regarding elections in the country. Okay, let's stop there. Federal government does not oversee any elections in the country. Okay, I don't know where you read, what you read. All elections in this country are state run. There's no federal elections. That's something that you got to be careful of. The federal government doesn't oversee elections. The federal government has no role in election oversight. We have 50 states that oversee their own elections. So anybody telling you that that this is part of an election canceling or whatever, it's nonsense. They either are making a mistake and they don't understand how the election system actually works in this country, or um, questions and situations regarding elections in the country. Yeah, there's no official federal oversight of elections. Just remember that. Yeah, and Alan mentions as well, Medicaid is processed by the states, not the feds, but it's a joint program, Alan, remember? So the funding is joint, which gives the federal government some oversight, which is how we get into this mess. If that makes any sense. Because if it was strictly a state program, then the federal government wouldn't be able to get involved and do this stuff. Uh, you know, it's hard not to be. There's a lot of people out there trying to scare you right now. I just need to say this. And what we're doing here, this community right now in this chat, what I do differently, you'll notice I don't give any hot takes. I don't give any opinions. There every if you listen to like a lot of podcasts, I don't care what genre it is, it's all based on kind of most of it. I shouldn't say all, that's a generalization. A lot of it content is based on takes. They're reacting emotionally to something. They're trying to make you feel something. They're confirming your bias about something, or they're enraging you about something. What we try to do here, and I mean both of us, is knowledge. We don't give takes. We try to provide knowledge and information, because your real power isn't someone making you scared or angry. Your real power is information and knowledge. When you know how your government works, what your government should be doing, what your government isn't doing that it should be doing, and this isn't a partisan thing. Okay, well, there could easily be, Democratic administrations that go astray. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure if we go back in history for 100 or 200 years, we could probably find one. Um, so what we need to do here is be informed, be knowledgeable, don't fall for the propaganda coming from one side or the scare tactics coming from the other. If you listen to something, every time I listen to something or watch something, I ask myself a question. I say, okay, did I learn anything? And if I didn't learn anything, if I didn't learn anything from that 30 or 60 minutes, then I start to think, well, maybe that's not worth my time. Do I really want to spend my 30 or 60 minutes when I don't have that much time in a day listening to something that doesn't make me more knowledgeable and informed? I mean, it's up to every individual person. I mean, some of these people just do kind of politics as entertainment, and that's great. And, everybody needs to unwind and relax and feel like a sport. Uh, so that's cool. I'm not saying what people are doing is horrible, or the only people that are really truly horrible are the people that are intentionally out there misinforming. If someone's intentionally out there misinforming to make money, then they're pretty disgraceful and they're doing irreparable harm because, want that whatever that audience hears, they then tell their friends, family, others, and it spreads around. So that's my little media aside for the day. And by the way, we usually on the daily, the audience is more in tune to like media stuff and they watch a lot of cable news. Politicus USA's audience, where I primarily look at oversee things, they're more kind of newsy and stuff, and they don't seem to get into the cable news stuff as much. So I'm thinking one of these days I'm just going to do something for the daily subscribers where we get to talk about media, and that would be pretty nice. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. Um, I really, really appreciate you guys. I haven't put a link to anything in Politicus today yet. I put up the daily. Here, I'm going to put the link to Politicus. Both the daily and Politicus USA are $6 a month each. Uh, the daily, the daily is more a deeper look at the news and current events, and Sarah really just is incredible, and she dives into issues and she informs, and she's passionate and really incredible with her writing. She's absolutely amazing. She does things that I could never do on my best day, as far as these beautiful long flowing stories. I'm more of a, this is where Politicus USA. I just put the link in where you can go to get your headlines. Both the daily and Politicus USA, like I said, they're just $6 a month. We do free content virtually every day, and there's stuff paid for our paid subscribers. But the cool thing is, you're going to get so much for your $6. We're not charging you $10 or $20 or whatever some of these more expensive places charge and post once every 2 weeks or something. We're here every day, and you're going to get a lot of stories and information for $6. So think it over. We would appreciate your support. I really, really like doing these chats. Hey, we're doing pretty good as far as the attendance today. That's really awesome. Let's take a couple minutes and do a few hellos. Trisha Kittredge, is that right? Kittredge? Oh, I hope so. Hi, Trisha. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. Tracy Nathan. Oh, there's an easy name. Thank you very much. JBD has joined us. Bud Jones is here. Another easy name. I swear you guys are just making up names to make me feel better about my pronunciation skills. Barbara Donahue. Hi, Barbara. Fisher Hunter Mark, Lori, and Barbara Menzel have joined. Up, Dee Dee Pinelli. I hope I said that right, Dee Dee. Today I signed up for being on the voter protection team here in California, supporting the counties closest to me, Placer and Nevada, both very red counties. That's good. I mean, democracy is important, and democracy needs our support, whether the county is red or blue. Red counties don't get less democracy, or blue counties don't get less democracy, and red counties get more because of the way they vote. It should be the same for everybody. Now, Lillian points out our next opportunity for a national protest is July the 17th, the next No Kings protest. Uh, I think everybody should be, if they hit 5 million for the last one, if they get millions out again, that's going to scare a lot of people. That's going to scare a lot of people in big corporations, mainstream media. It's going to scare Republicans. See, right now, Republicans are saying, I'll tell you what, Republicans have been sold on this legislation that just passed. They were sold that this legislation is going to make the economy great and everybody's going to forget about everything else. That's the hope. Now, do you think that's going to happen? Do you know the history of midterm elections? That's not gonna happen, okay? But I have seen incumbent parties that are about to get their butts kicked do this for my entire life. They think if they just pass this one big bill, they can go out and sell it, and you're hearing it. If you watch cable news, if you pay attention to media, they're saying, "Oh, we just have to go out and sell this bill." This bill's terrible. Everybody knows this bill's terrible. You're selling a terrible bill. And by going out and selling it, you're associating yourself with it. Oh, Laura Stevenson. Hi, Laura. Laura says she'll be at the No Kings protest in Fort Worth, Texas. So if you're in Fort Worth, Texas, and you happen to be on this chat like Laura, maybe you guys can meet up and hold signs together or whatever you feel like doing at the protest, chant really loudly together. You know, Lillian says, let's hand them their asses. I suspect that there's going to be some very sad Republicans next November, especially a certain orange one at his golf course. I think because, we talk about it, we bring it up regularly. Mike Johnson even said it. If Republicans lose the House, Trump's presidency is over. It's going to be a 2-year presidency. And that explains, and I think, of course, no party is going to say it. I've never seen a political party before a midterm come out and say, oh, yeah, we're going to lose. We're going to get our clocks clean next year. We know it. But the swiftness and the urgency with which they're moving, they know. They know what's coming. And they know it's going to be a 2-year presidency. And they're trying to get everything through they possibly can before it happens. So when I say time is on your side, as I said earlier, that's what I mean. Every single day that you can protest, that you can say no, every single court case that holds them up just a bit, that's a win. Because TikTok, not only is Trump old, but he's a limited one-termer. And by the way, people are saying, well, what if Trump doesn't leave? Okay, here's the thing. Let's say Democratic President X wins the election in 2028 against J.D. Vance. On Inauguration Day at 12:01 p.m., the powers of the presidency automatically transfer to that president. Donald Trump can't change it. Donald Trump can't do it. Donald Trump can lock himself in the Oval Office and threaten to leave. Uh, so, but that president, that Democratic president, will have the power to say if Donald Trump wants to stick around, he can tell, or they can tell the Secret Service, they can tell federal law enforcement, pick up the squatter and escort him out. It's over. Um, ah, ah, oh, wow. RYPLFX commented a really good comment, and this is a problem. Jason, people don't even get that Medicaid is their coverage because it isn't called Medicaid. When social media is mistaken as quote news and people do not vote, there are no certainties. Well, I wouldn't say 2026 is a certainty, but yeah, with only needing a few seats to flip and because of the way districts have been redrawn and added, it's a pretty good situation to be in. I will let you know more by September 2026. We'll have a really good feel by then. Denise Sloan Smith is here. Hello, Denise. Sick and tired is here. Yeah, I can imagine you're sick and tired. Hannah. Hello, Hannah. Sue and Murda Adolf are here. I don't know if you're together or you seem like two different people. You both got bolted. So, hi, Sue and Marta Adolf. Hi to both of you. Kathy and Jason Dyer have joined. Hello, guys. Mara has joined. Spring Forward has joined. Hello, Spring Forward. I hope you guys, I took your advice after the last gathering we had of this community, and I scheduled it the day before, and you all got scheduling notes, and you hopefully all got notices so that you knew this was coming. If you have any ideas for what would be more helpful as far as making sure that you know this is coming, if you want to be here, we can do that. And by the way, somebody asked, all of these gatherings are recorded automatically by Substack. I usually write something to go with the video and I publish it to the daily afterwards. So you can watch it again. I can't even I can't even figure out why I would want to watch it in the first place, but that's me talking and I get tired of listening to me talk. I really kind of cringe when I have to listen to my own voice. Um, Lillian says it was great to get noticed and a way to ask questions. I'm going to keep working on it. Oh, RYPLFX says, I am a Democrat and was a social justice lobbyist who grew up with Lisa Murkowski. Yeah, I'm hopeful and relentlessly in the fight, but with eyes wide open. Yeah, I think you need to have your eyes wide open because, there's still a lot of ifs in the equation. If this happens, then the outcome is Democrats win back part of Congress. But the idea is that no incumbent president has picked up seats and not lost the majority since 2004, and that took the post 9/11 period, and George W. Bush to accomplish that. I'm sorry, yeah, 2004. So 2002. I'm sorry, 2004 was the Bush's reelection year. Ah, sometimes all these Republicans can run together. Although George W. Bush now looks like Abraham Lincoln compared to Donald Trump. And if you would have gone back in time and told me that 20 years ago, I don't think I would have believed you. Dan Thompson and Pat Nicholson are here. Hello. Peg Doherty? I hope so. Hello, Peg. Karen Andrews is here. Rosemary Newman is here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it so much. Now, I forgot to tell you guys because I sometimes forget because I see some familiar names. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. If I can't answer them, one of the really, really bright people here probably can. So, if you have any questions, you want to talk about anything, you know, do you get tired of things like the Texas flood happening and Republicans expecting that we're all just going to rally around them and that potentially their actions bear no consequences? We don't know. Maybe everybody there did everything they could. It was just an unfortunate, horrible coincidence, an event, a collision of factors that combine to create this unique circumstance. But usually, when something like this happens, it's because there was a breakdown in the system or somebody's policy choices have cost people their lives. And that's the thing. That's why policy is important. Policies are important and not just be like you run on them during elections because you're going to do this, this, and this. And Democrats seem to love that. Uh, Policies are important because they have real life impacts. How many people died during COVID because Trump refused to enact a federal policy and instead kind of left the states to fight it out among themselves? How many people were saved because Joe Biden expanded Medicaid? or made more people eligible for Medicaid, or made it easier for states to expand and include more people. How many of those lives were saved? Policies have a real life and death, real world impact. I mean, how many people could afford to go to the doctor and not be in debt? How many people had a chance to maybe get a better job under Biden and his policies? Or maybe they got a little bit more in SNAP and they could just get by a little easier. Maybe they weren't as hungry that last week of the month, the week before their SNAP benefits come in. All that stuff matters. And people take things for granted that they're used to having. People have gotten used to having the ACA and lower premiums and more coverage. People have gotten used to having government services that are actually there when they're needed. But when they start losing those things, I think it's going to be a realization and a sad, big slap in the face for a lot of people. And they're about to lose a lot of things they took for granted. It's like if you talk to anybody who's in their like 20s or 30s, anybody who really wasn't of working age during the Great Recession and the stock market crash, and they think that this market currently is going to be there forever, and they don't understand. So those people are going to be the ones who are in for an awakening when this stuff just isn't there anymore. Whenever rights like trans rights have already been under attack by the Trump administration. There are things that younger people have maybe taken for granted that they're going to find out they shouldn't. Robert says, "Hello, Robert. It's not only the policies, but also the Republicans like Johnson refusing to change their ways even after a tragedy. Though, given how they respond to mass gun violence, I don't expect any different." And that's the thing. If you're okay with small children being shot, like at Sandy Hook, kindergartners, and you don't do anything to change after that, then you are definitely okay with dozens of little girls and children dying in a flash flood. I mean, it's all part of the extension of the same thing. Once you somehow in their minds they have reconciled child death as an acceptable thoughts and prayers moment, then any child death becomes acceptable. And that's mind boggling and fathomably wrong. Uh, Spring Forward says so many things to be upset about, but unable to do anything about it right now. But I find comfort in blocking blocking Etsy for supporting Trump's Mellor sadistic Crocodile Island. Is that a Trump Mellor thing or is that a Ron DeSantis thing? I'm not sure. Maybe somebody has better knowledge. I know it cost $450 million. But I wasn't sure if this is something that DeSantis cooked up by himself because he still has delusions of being president in 2028, or if this was something the federal government is doing. Let's see. KC, I used to be a Medicaid provider, and the paperwork was so terrible to make a claim that it was easier to take it as a loss. My point is, there won't be any Medicaid providers left, won't be able to provide healthcare providers, won't be able to find healthcare providers. That is such a great point, Casey. We talk about the patient side of this, but we need to talk about the provider side of this. There's a reason why 1 in 4, 1 in 5 rural hospitals might go out of business from this. Um, there's a reason why so many doctors that serve impoverished areas, that frankly, their practice depends on Medicaid and Medicare. And by the way, if they don't fix this bill and the front loaded tax cuts, they're going to trigger Medicare sequestrations and cuts to Medicare. If people don't think, if people think, oh, it's just those undeserving poor people on Medicaid that are going to get hurt, wait until their Medicare starts to vanish or starts to get cut down or starts to get more expensive. Because let's be honest here, what's going to realistically happen here is Medicaid is going to get more expensive. Medicare is going to get more expensive if they don't fix this. So, I mean, it's just like the tariffs. The cost is going to be passed along to the consumer. Oh, Jerry says he's signing off. Good company. Everyone stay involved. Jerry, it was nice having you here. I hope you come back and join us for the next one. Robert Cadigan. Hello, Robert. I hope I said that right. But, oh, by the way, guys, if you want more people on Substack to see this chat and join in, hit that heart button. Give it a like. That will get more eyeballs on it and more people can hopefully come and join us, which would be very welcome. Because the more people we put together here, the better chance we have to stand together and do something about a lot of this stuff. Um, I know a lot of you are politically active. So I would just like to mention again, if you decide to donate, number one, always donate directly to the candidate or candidates of your choice. Don't trust anybody to flip the donation. Don't trust anybody to necessarily handle a donation. Some candidates really don't even like using ActBlue because ActBlue takes a cut of their donation. Um, that's sort of like a provider fee in my view. It's not the same as somebody raising money off of a candidate's name and saying, we're going to donate part of this donation to the candidate. Notice they never tell you. They never tell you we're going to donate 75% of this donation to the candidate or 50% or 90%. They just say they're going to split part of it. Well, maybe I don't want that organization to get $5 from me. Maybe I want the whole $10 to go to a candidate. And by the way, if you don't think $10 matters, depending on where you live, if you give $10 to a local candidate, it will go a lot further, like somebody running for local office in your town or city. It will go a lot further than giving $10 to a national political party or a national politician that's already going to be raising tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. Doesn't mean those folks don't need money too. It just means that there are, in a lot of small towns and cities, in local races, there isn't a big donor class or there isn't a big billionaire class coming to write them a check. So if you want to really help your community and you see good people running for office and you want your money to maybe stay home and do it some good, because let's face it, a lot of us don't have a lot of money. So if they decide to donate, they may want to get the most bang for their buck. And, the best way to do that is to donate directly to candidates. Local candidates always need your help. I say that as somebody who's informally advised local candidates in the past, and they believe me, they can use some help. Uh, Now, we got more people joining. We got a whole bunch of people. Angela joined. Hello, Angela. Steve Basha and Olivia are here. Hello, Steve and Olivia. Christina McAllister and I Blackman have joined. Hello. Oh, David Damkohler, I hope I got that right, has joined. Hi, David. Kelly Wise is here. Brevity is here. Always keep it short. Michael, Michael Enkrich. Oh, I hope I got that right. He's also here. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming by. Again, for you, you've been hanging in the whole time. If anybody has any questions, you can put the questions in the chat. and we'll do our best to answer them. So I think Gary Spangler is here. Hi, Gary. I think we all need to take a minute and realize that just because this bill passed, that's not the end of the fight. There's a reason why Republicans are trying to get out of this, the Medicaid cuts. So they want out of this. They do not want to take any more punishment from people like you. They don't want you to hear you yelling at them anymore. They don't want any more protests. They don't want any more phone calls. They want silence because silence means the billionaires get their money. The checks are going to clear for the next election, and the Republicans have a chance to keep their majority. So, my one piece of advice to you: do not be silent. Do not let anybody scare you. Do not be silent. Do not let your fears stop you. I mean, it's scary. There's stuff going on here in this country that, like, honestly, we all knew because Trump told us exactly what he was going to do. Yeah. Robert has a good question here. At the start, you mentioned two more reconciliation bills coming in October and January. How frequently can these bills be brought up? I thought it was quite limited. Yeah, it is quite limited. It can only be brought up for budgetary issues. I'm not exactly sure unless they're going to try to do a reconciliation package to fix the first reconciliation package. And the third reconciliation package Johnson's talking about would be for 2027. So, unless you try to do a reconciliation package, the second one, I'm trying to do the math in my head. The second reconciliation package would cover September 26th through January 27th. And then you want to do another reconciliation package through 2027. And the reason why he wants to do that, obviously, is because if Democrats take back the majority, he wants to make sure that Democrats can't immediately undo what he's doing. Um, I think he's going to have a really hard time getting a reconciliation package passed in an election year. Oh, I just heard from a reader that they can't watch on any device. My advice to you, if you can't watch on any device, oh, sorry, I mean, look at me in the air, my phone like that, reading a message off. Um, Go to the Daily's homepage, and you will be able to watch from the homepage. I'm not sure why. Let me see here. Let me go check and make sure we're visible. Are we visible to everybody? Robert is concerned that the pain in the middle and working class is delayed till the current group of scoundrels has left. The problem with that idea is that, states are going to need time to prepare for these cuts. So the pain is actually going to start a lot sooner than the expected implementation day. You can see me. Everybody can see me. Everybody can hear me. Okay. Okay. So it's actually going to start a whole lot sooner than anybody really believes because those governors have already said, governors of lemonade, that they need time to prepare for this and make changes to the programs. So it's probably changes are going to start coming next year. And the first thing they're going to do, like I live in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro has been already doing this. They are making sure that people know, that recipients know what's causing this and where it's coming from. They're doing letters. They're letting people know why this is happening, which is really smart. Because, if they didn't say anything, people would just assume it was the governor's fault or somebody else's fault, which is sort of the whole Republican plan here. The whole Republican plan is to make sure that to hopefully you blame someone else. And that's not the way it's going to go down because of the whole branding, the whole way this has been raised in the public consciousness. It's already set up as Republicans cut Medicaid. Again, no givebacks. It's always easier in politics to play offense than defense. And Democrats did a really good job of being on the offensive with this. And they haven't necessarily done a good job with a whole lot of things at the beginning of Trump's term, but they were ready for this. And they have a real simple message. And the message, frankly, has refocused them on things they should have been talking about to begin with. Basic economic issues, basic issues of health, life, death, equality, income inequality, fairness. These are things that, we don't need to talk about policies for if you have a baby, you get an extra tax break. Well, that's great, but, you know, that policy probably could have been framed as fairness for new parents. So Democrats are getting back to what they should have been always been talking about. And that's good because when this party goes back to its roots, its modern roots, semi-modern roots of FDR, that's when it's most effective. So I'll tell you what, I'm not sure how long we have been doing this, but I think it's been a while. Oh, it's been almost an hour and a half. So universal messaging, exactly. By the way, guys, thank you for telling me I can be seen and heard. I appreciate it. Please, if you can, subscribe. This video will be going up on the daily soon. As soon as I'm out of here and I'm back in front of my desk, I can write something to go with this and put it up there. And we will talk again very soon. I will schedule it in advance. I'll let you know what's going on. And thank you for participating. I'll do one last call. Oh man, I always feel so bad when people join as I'm getting ready to sign off. Then I feel like I should stay here longer. Yeah, they did some serious likes for staying here longer. I feel like I'm running a telethon at some point, and I'm in like the 23rd hour. Um, okay, let's talk more about Medicaid cuts. Thank you so much. Next time, I'm going to give you guys a chance to hopefully post your questions. I'm going to start a post at the daily. And thank you, Laura. Laura says, thank you for the great information. Thank you for being here. I'm going to post something at the daily so you guys can, if you want, submit your questions early, and then we can just kind of go through them and talk about them. Um, that would be really cool with me. I'm trying to figure out the format as well myself. So the more we do this, hopefully the better and more informative it will become. I hope you're informed. I hope you come out of this knowing that you have more knowledge and also you have more power than you might think. Because look in this chat, look at all these people. This is a pretty big group of people, and they're not going to put up with this stuff. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. You have no idea what your support means to Sarah and I. Up, Baba Jones, keep giving us a heads up so we can plan on seeing you. Yeah, I realize now the heads up is something you guys have needed. I kind of was trying to get in the news cycle, and I wasn't always sure exactly when I should do these. But if anybody has any feedback, if you prefer morning or later in the afternoon or now, that's always good too, because I'm trying to figure out when we should do these. Um, because we come on as late as sometimes 5 o'clock in the East and gotten a good number of people. And sometimes we've gone at 11 in the morning and gotten a pretty good number of people then too. So it all is like when you guys feel like participating the most and when y'all can make it in. Uh, I really, really enjoy doing these. I really enjoy talking to you. I hope I learned something. I hope you learned something. And I hope you know that next time we get together, we're going to have even more to talk about. And good news, the good news is coming because even when things are tough, they eventually get better. And, last week was a pretty tough week. So we are going to be strong and we are going to be focused and we're going to be loud. And before we know it, Donald Trump will either be buried at the third hole of his golf course at Mar-a-Lago or out of office. And the country will move forward and repair and rebuild from the damage that's been done. Yes, democracy is definitely not a spectator sport. RYPLFX says to us, yeah, if you're sitting out on our democracy, you're missing out on our democracy. So, I do have one question before I go. Do all of you talk to your friends and family? Do you try to get people engaged, or do you have a community that's already engaged and you're just a part of it? How much success do you have doing that? And let me know because I'm always curious. Like, do people respond well to you, or is everybody so partisan and split up and broken down that they tune you out? Because it seems like, and I could talk about this with you. I looked at the top 50 news websites traffic numbers, and only the BBC has gained traffic. And because people are generally tuning out, it doesn't matter if you watch Fox, doesn't matter if you watch MSNBC or CNN or in this case, we're not watching. We're talking about reading. Washington Post, New York Times. Washington Post is down 27%, I still believe, in readership. New York Times is down. What's interesting is all these big media companies that lined up for Trump and thought they were going to get a Trump bump, that bump never came. In fact, the traffic went backwards or backward. Um, so these people bet on Trump, these big corporations, and now they're suffering. So you might call that karmatic justice, but I also call that a political audience that is kind of has no desire to engage with Donald Trump at some level and doesn't want to hear it. And they don't like the way the coverage is being presented to them. And they don't like the bending of knees. And they don't like the legal settlements. And they don't like the fear instead of journalism, instead of accountability and factual reporting. Um, that's what I see. And I think that just I think that they thought that everybody would get scared again, like it was 2017, and everybody would come rushing to them. But that hasn't happened. The big corporate media, that hasn't happened. Uh, I don't know. I think that one of the things Trump has done is, and our media may have always been broken, but I think one of the things Trump has done is he's exposed this corporate media for what it is. And I I'm not sure that in the long term that might actually be a blessing. But to me, when I see people not really tuning into political media from any left, right, middle, big, small, we're doing people seem to like what we're doing, and I'm really grateful for that. But we're kind of the exception, and we're also trying to do things a different way, Sarah and I. We're not following the corporate roadmap, let's say. But the big people, if I may just talk about them, they bet on the wrong horse. Laura says, going to marches and finding out there are a lot of people who feel the same way I do has been very encouraging. I can imagine, depending on where you live, because a lot of America doesn't live in a blue city or state, and it can be pretty lonely if you live in a red area and you see all the Trump signs around your neighbors and everything else. So I can imagine it's got to feel very heartening to go to a march or a protest and see like-minded people, and not like-minded people that came from another state, but like-minded people from your town or maybe down the road. That's a big deal because, it's what divides. Trump is an artist practicing in division. And so anytime you can find some way to unify, you're stronger, stronger together. It's true though. And Robert says, much of the cable news is endless speculation and glamification of politics as if real lives are not directly impacted. Yes, they have a content coverage model and they just plug stuff in to fill time and they cover things the same way. News story X has happened. So we're going to go to A and B contributors to talk about it. And then we're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to go to news story Y and have A and C and D contributors talk about that. Like it's a sport, like they're doing a halftime analysis of a football game. But it's not a sport. It's people living and dying. It's real life. Well, my phone is now running out of battery. That means it's probably time for me to go very soon. I have really enjoyed talking to you guys. Hey, we got new more people. We got Lewis and JB are here, and Barbara as well. Hello. Joe is here. Hi, Joe. Victoria Albon. I think Victoria's been here before. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Deborah Hemsey and Kay Collins are here. Thank you. Not my president joined. I'm gonna guess I know who you're talking about. um, so thank you all very much. I'll schedule ahead and I'll try to let you know when we're going to be back up, but it will be, you know, by next week at the very latest. Uh, I appreciate you. We're going to try to do one of these a week, if not more, depending on how the news goes. Thanks, Jason, and thanks, Sarah, who I have collaborated with and appreciated since 2007. Wow. You've collaborated, appreciated with her since 2007? That is before I met her. Um, we have that's before she started at Politicus. She started at Politicus in 2009, I believe, maybe 2010. Oh, Pam. Pam says she did not say hi to me. Oh my goodness. Pam, I'm sorry. Hello. Up Tamar Kranzik. Hi, Tamar. Salty McSalt. What a great name. So, I'm going to have to tell Sarah, I will tell Sarah you said hello, and I will tell Sarah that you pass along your regards. Anne Marie, you know what? We're going to do this. Pam, I'll be back. Thank you, Pam. And that's a tribute to the Terminator. So, hasta la vista, Pam. No, I sound like Michael Scott. Uh, guys, I will do just a few more hellos, but I don't want my phone to die. I don't want the battery stop and the stream stop. So Carol has joined. Oh, um, let's see. Jean Baptiste. Wow. Since she say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I mangled that. You can phonetically put it in the chat if you'd like, but hello. Ah, yeah. So Rachel Schneiderman. I believe we've seen Rachel here before. Hello, Rachel. Angela Heitzman. Angie has been here before. Hi, Angie. I'd like to see familiar faces. I'm glad y'all are coming back. It means you got something from a previous chat. You decided to come back again, or you really have nothing else to do with your time. But I'd like to think it's because, those are useful. Paul has joined. Hello, Paul. Okay, my phone is now turning red. The battery indicator. I think it's time to go. Thank you guys so much. We will be back soon. We will be talking. And by the way, if you came in late, this video will be published hopefully within the hour. I'm going to put a link to the homepage of the daily, which is where you'll be able to find it here in the comments again. Mick O'Brien is here. Hi, Mick. Um, Here is the video in case you're coming in late. Just keep checking there. It'll be right up on top of the page when it gets published. I got to write some stuff to go with it because, I don't like to just publish video and empty text because it seems kind of cheap. But I want to give you guys something to really read to go along with this. And you guys have already watched. You may not watch it again, but you might want to share it. And if you do, please do. By the way, Substack also creates shorter kind of best of clips for this thing automatically. I haven't been sharing those around yet, but if you would like, I can put them up in notes or wherever. And they're all they're on our YouTube channel as well. You can see them there. KB has joined. Hello, KB. It's great to see you. Just to recap, Maria Summer. Hi, Maria Summer. So great to have you here. I'm really happy with you. You guys are just so awesome. And remember, if you can support it, if you can do it, we would greatly appreciate your support. Become a subscriber. You could subscribe to the daily and read. I posted one of Sarah's stories, her most recent great story, one of her most recent great stories above in the chat. Or you can read Politicus USA. I don't know how many. I wouldn't call him my story's great. That seems very arrogant. But they're worth reading. Darcy McKnight and Dominic Mogevero. Oh, did I get that right? Mogevero? Oh, I hope so. Hello, Darcy and Dominic. Oh, I think Substack's having some fun with me and just grouping names together phonetically so I can have some fun. Dina Lewis and Karen are here. Hi, Dina Lewis. Hello, Karen. Thank you for coming. And by the way, I'll say it one more time before I have to go. This is all going to be on the daily. So if you missed any of it, if you got here late, if you want to watch the beginning, you can do that. It's free. It's going to be a free post. Culture Notes has joined us. Hello, Culture Notes. And you can. Hi, Dominic. Thank you for being here. So if you missed any of it, you can go back and rewatch it. We'll be talking shortly. Sorry for scratching my nose. My allergies are bothering me. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Sarah appreciates you. And we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.